Want to jump right in here now. Without any further ado, let's bring him in. Ben Axelrod, awfulannouncing.com. You can check him out on X, on Facebook, all your favorite social media platforms. Ben, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sam.
You bet, man. It's been a minute. I was thinking about, actually, I was going to reach out to you Monday to talk about the NBA season and then talk about the Cavs. And then I thought, I'll wait till after the Cavs game. And then, okay, there's a nice little gambling story we can talk about with the NBA. So I figured we would go that route. When did you first hear about it today? What were your first thoughts about the first couple of names that started to come to the surface? And I want to peel this back a couple of layers if we could and see where this thing is headed. What was your first reaction today?
Yeah, I mean, my first reaction, because the first name that came out was Terry Rozier, and we knew Terry Rozier had been linked to this. We knew he had been under investigation since back in January. So initially, it's always shocking when a player gets arrested and that this was the outcome, but it didn't catch you too off guard because you knew Terry Rozier had at least been connected to this story. This just felt like the next kind of, logical step. Mm-hmm. Then it comes out Chauncey Billups gets arrested, and he is an active NBA head coach. He's a Hall of Fame point guard. That totally changes the entire scope of this story. And then you factor in Damon Jones, who has close ties to LeBron James, who it's being alleged that he was trading information about LeBron's injuries. That obviously adds a whole other layer to this. So initial reaction was like, okay, this is a big story, but it was kind of, not unexpected. Mm-hmm. And then you factor in Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones, and you realize, this isn't just a NBA or sports story. This is going to be a mainstream CNN, NBC News type of story too.
Yeah, and when you get the director of the FBI hold the press conference, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he just rattling off the names of crime families, and I'm thinking, whoa, this thing is off the charts. I've heard, I can't, I don't, but I heard there's like 30 to 40 names now that could be on this list, so to speak. I don't know who those are after the first three, but I don't know, any speculation there, or is it too early to do that?
There is one name. I was just looking at Pablo Torre's Twitter before I jumped on with you, and he was going through the affidavit, I believe. And okay. There is a co-conspirator 8 who he's not named, but he's listed as an NBA player who played from a certain amount of time and then was an assistant coach starting in 2021. And so he's not named, but I ran a little chat GPT, and it's pretty easy to narrow down the suspects of who that might be. So there definitely could be another NBA name attached to this entire story. But other than that, it doesn't seem like it's a very big investigation, and there's a lot of people involved. But I don't think everybody involved or even the vast majority are going to be connected to the NBA or the sports world. But that is just a kind of a branch attached to all of this.
Wow, that is interesting. They said that this investigation was going on for a long time, years, and I'm just kind of wondering, man, who have they all talked to? I mean, is players, coaches, officials, friends of friends of friends? I mean, this sounds like a humongous deep dive into, we're not going to leave any rock uncovered. And I would love to know who they've all talked to. And I'm sure this thing is still going on too, right? Because more names will continue to pop up. And Ben, I got to tell you that there's got to be some people out there right now that are absolutely sitting on pins and needles right now.
Yeah. And I mean, you get to this point now where people are getting arrested, people, quote unquote flip, and they start providing information. And that adds more layers to this, that adds new names to this, that brings in new schemes and new scams. And I mean, that's the thing that's interesting about this, right? Is that what Terry Rozier is being accused of isn't the same thing that Chauncey Billups is being accused of, and it isn't the same thing that Damon Jones is being accused of, but they're all sort of connected in these ways. And so you factor in things like the mafia, and it's going to get, I think we're just at the start of this thing. I think it's going to get pretty crazy here.
Have you heard anything on Malik Beasley? He kind of was like, okay, you're good to go a couple of weeks ago. Now his name may be popping up again. What's his situation? Because I know the Cavs may have been even thinking about talking to him and bringing him in, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've gathered, the good thing is that nothing came out today about Malik Beasley. Like if Malik Beasley, if they had something on Malik Beasley, today seems like the day that would have come out. That would have been attached. There was some speculation like maybe that would happen. It didn't happen. Like as far as we know, nothing has changed with Malik Beasley. So from that standpoint, you would think everything's as positive as it can be given the circumstances. In terms of the Cavs, I just think now we're at this point where gambling is such a hot button topic where because of the controversy, like I think it's going to be really hard for a team to sign Malik Beasley under the circumstances, regardless of what's gone on with his investigation. It does seem like it was trending in the right direction, but I think even just this coming out in the cloud it casts over the NBA, I think that's going to give the league and I think that's going to give teams pause about, do we want to bring this sort of PR into our team right now?
Ben Axelrod is our guest. Check him out at Awful Announcing, senior editor at Ben Axelrod. You can check him out on X, Facebook. He's all over all your social media platforms. I'm sure you've been scouring the internet and you've seen a lot of the 1 minute, 30-second videos of Terry Rozier bricking shots and throwing balls away and other players. Gosh, the video doesn't lie. It sure makes you raise your eyebrows on some of these that I've seen. I've also seen two names that just casual keyboard people have been bringing up: LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Not saying one way or the other here, but would you be surprised if at least their names were at least brought up in some sort of a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, you could say LeBron's has, just in terms of what Damon Jones is being accused of, because what Damon Jones is being accused of is he had inside information about LeBron having an injury that wasn't made public yet. He wasn't on the injury report. It sounds like I don't know like the full details of how he went about acting on that information, but it does seem like that is what he is being accused of. So in at least a tangential way, LeBron is connected to this because his name does come up, even though he's not accused of any crimes. I don't think there's I don't have any reason to believe that, there's any speculation that LeBron would be connected, although there are videos popping up now of like Gilbert Arenas telling old gambling stories about himself and Damon Jones and LeBron. And you're starting to see other like like Gilbert Arenas and Paul Pierce type of videos pop up, just like NBA players that we saw at the time. We thought nothing of it. It's like, hey, these are just guys telling like card stories. Then you start to see what like Chauncey Billups is being accused of, and his name was popping up in those stories, and it kind of makes you tilt your head. So I don't know. I don't want to like go down the path of LeBron being accused of wrongdoing, but his name is at least connected to the case by way of Damon Jones. Now, in terms of Michael Jordan, like I haven't seen anything that would tie Michael Jordan to any of this, but I did, tweet that it's funny that Michael Jordan now is in the sports media space commenting for NBC when obviously back when he was a player, this was something that Michael Jordan was known for in terms of, that I watched The Last Dance. There's the whole thing about people wondering if he has a gambling issue. There, rumors and conspiracy theories about why he went away to play baseball. So I don't think Michael Jordan's connected to any of this, or at least I don't have any reason to, but it is, gambling is something that has been attached to Michael Jordan's name. And now he's back in the public spotlight with this new NBC gig.
Ben, the opening night, the other night, fantastic double overtime with the Rockets and the Thunder. Then you had Steph and Luka in the nightcap, and NBC, which I thought did a fantastic job producing those games on Monday. And then the Cavs play last night, and then this. How you feeling right now if you're David Silver?
Yeah, it's tough. I think you take, like you said, the NBC debut, and that was about as much positive publicity as I can remember the NBA getting in recent memory. You follow it up then with Inside the NBA debuting on ESPN, and everyone just, there was a lot of concern, like how's ESPN going to ruin Inside the NBA? They didn't ruin it at all. They left it they left it totally untouched. It was the same, other than an ESPN logo and maybe a new Popeye sponsorship. It was the exact same studio show. And then not only that, I'd say Victor Wembanyama has that performance last night, becomes, arguably one of the faces of the league now. It looks like he's breaking out here as, a really transcendent player. And you expect that to be what everybody's talking about today. And then boom, 7:30 this morning, Shams Charania is reporting about Terry Rozier getting arrested. Probably 50 to 30 minutes later, you're getting the Chauncey Billups domino falling. It's a mess right now. This is a disaster for the NBA. I don't think there's any way around it. So, if you're Adam Silver, you had about as positive of a 2-day start to the season as I can remember the NBA having in a long, long time. And you follow it up with a story that could very well be like the biggest NBA scandal, maybe outside of Kawhi Leonard, since Tim Donaghy and the referee scandal in the early 2000s. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, it is amazing. And of course, the NBA being in their bubble, this is really, really bad. So then I started to think, well, all these, not all, a lot of these leagues now are tied in with a gambling partner, whether it's BetMGM or DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL. What are their commissioners? How are they feeling right about now? Say somebody like Roger Goodell or, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred. I mean, everybody's got to kind of be looking over their shoulder a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, both those leagues have already gone through this. We saw it with Emmanuel Clase and Ortiz here in Cleveland. We saw it with Calvin Ridley in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They've had a handful of gambling suspensions. I think this is going to be something that's probably an annual story for these leagues, because I think, on the one hand, I think people could say there's this proliferation of gambling now. It's only going to open up the doors to more scandals and the avenues for more issues. The flip side of that is these leagues now have relationships with these sports books, and they're catching things that maybe they weren't catching before. Maybe these things were happening on the black market. Maybe they were happening with illegal bookies, and they were just totally going unnoticed, flying under the radar. Now there's unusual betting activity around Terry Rozier for one game, and FanDuel or DraftKings or whoever it was, their red flags are going to go up, up, up. So I think we now we have more avenues to catch these things. And I think it's something the leagues just need to continue to educate their players on. I think even with Emmanuel Clase, what he's being accused of is basically throwing away one pitch per inning or one pitch, here and there to affect these micro bets. I think you need to educate your players like, hey, something as seemingly little as that can ruin your entire career. So I think it comes down to education. It comes down to I wouldn't be surprised. I know obviously Ohio has already introduced legislation regarding the micro bets. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if other states get involved with that, and I wouldn't be surprised if player props start to really come under the microscope, because it's one thing to try to throw a game, to try to throw an over-under for your team, but to have a direct impact on your player props, your over-unders, and what have you. What Terry Rozier, again, is accused of is, they're betting the under on him, and then he's leaving a game early and all the unders cash. To have the ability to manipulate the books like that, I wouldn't be surprised if player props are kind of short-lived here across the country. And I would imagine you'll start to see the league join the state in these fights for these types of things.
That would not surprise me one bit. Ben Axelrod is our guest. You can check him out on social media at Awful Announcing. He is the senior editor, kind enough to join us here on the Sam Bourquin Show today, 1310 WDPN. With the gambling world where it is now, and millions and millions and millions of people have accounts with these with the gambling outfits. Do you see any sway one way or the other? Are the FanDuels of the world going to be losing customers? Are some going to be gaining? Is it going to stay in the middle? If you look at it from the public perception, Ben, what are they thinking right now after hearing this stuff today?
I haven't seen anything that would indicate that this affects their business positively or negatively. I think that maybe it does lead to some dissatisfaction. Maybe it does lead to some class action lawsuits down the line if they feel like these things are ultimately rigged, which I saw one tweet from a user back in January talking about Chauncey Billups rotations and how Chauncey Billups needs to be investigated because the way they were playing Denny Advia was it seemed very strange. And so I do think you start to get frustration, but I mean, just anecdotally, just talk to people I know, just what I see on social media. I haven't seen anything to indicate that this actually influences customer behavior in terms of turning them off from gambling. I think that if anything, maybe it's positive PR in the sense that you're getting your name out there and it spreads awareness to the fact that this can be done.
Yeah, no, what's the old saying? There's no such thing as bad publicity. So I guess we're kind of under that umbrella right there. Ben, we got about a minute and a half. I do want to squeeze one Cavs question in to get that sweet-looking Cavs hoodie on right there. What were your thoughts on the game at the Garden last night? Obviously, we were very shorthanded, but again, when things got a little tight, a little tense, we couldn't answer the bell, and we were not aggressive down the stretch. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, I think that's a tough spot to be shorthanded without DeAndre Hunter and Darius Garland, obviously. Not just those are two core players for the Cavs, but you are going against the other team. You know, I think you talk to the average NBA fan, they're going to pick the Cavs or they're going to pick the Knicks to win the Eastern Conference. Yep. So this could very well be an Eastern Conference Finals preview. So that's about as tough of competition as you're going to find in the Eastern Conference. You're on the road, you're shorthanded. I just think it was a tough spot for the Cavs. What stood out to me was Evan Mobley's aggressiveness, and he wasn't necessarily always effective, but I do think you are going to see a concerted effort to get Evan Mobley more aggressive, and that's going to come with ups and downs because he's not a finished product on the offensive side of the floor. So that was one of those games where, you know, Evan Mobley hits a few more shots. You have one more guy out there. Maybe it's a totally different outcome, but ultimately I hate to blame it on injuries. I'm not somebody who typically does that, but I think it was just a really tough spot on the road against another Eastern Conference contender shorthanded.
Yep. I lied. I got one more quick question. When do you think we'll see Darius Garland back?
It sounds to be trending positively. It sounds like he's starting to get practices in. So hopefully here within the next couple of weeks, I think it was 4 to 5 months at the start of the offseason. So we should be starting to get into that time frame. So I don't know. I don't have the schedule nailed down just yet, but hopefully sooner rather than later because he's somebody the Cavs are obviously counting on in a big way.
No doubt. Ben Axelrod, Awful Announcing. Check him out at Awful Announcing on social media. Ben, always good to visit with you. Appreciate it. We'll do it again. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Sam.
You got it. Ben Axelrod at Awful Announcing on X, Facebook. He is all over it. And they do a lot of – that's a great site. I mean, they cover a little bit of everything, and they do it really, really well.